What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode. Coach Joe here with Heartletics.com. And today we're going to be talking about the number one question that we get asked the most. And that is, are carbs bad? Should I cut out my carbs? Should I have higher fats? Should I, go to ketogenic diets? Carbs, 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 carbs. Carbs are the devil. Carbs are the enemy. Well, guess what? To me and a lot of the guys that you're seeing right now on the Zoom chat, we eat a lot of carbs. A lot of the guys that burn a lot of body fat, increase their testosterone levels, increase and speed up their metabolism, eat a lot of carbs as well. Now, I'm not trying to pressure you guys into doing anything, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, balance is key. And so when it comes down to having a healthy relationship with food, we obviously want to educate not just our members, but anybody that's going to be tuning in and listening to the podcast. If you guys are checking this out on YouTube, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below as well, because we're going to be going over into a little PowerPoint presentation, the difference between carbs, fats, and most importantly, at the very end, what you guys need to know about having a healthy relationship with food, including carbohydrates into that equation. So with that being said, let me do a good old screen share here. Cool. Can everybody see my screen okay? Thumbs up. Beautiful. Awesome. So guys, we're going to be talking about carbs and fats. Obviously, a lot of people have tried and, have heard about, going to a ketogenic diet or Atkins or cutting out their carbohydrates. And I feel bad because carbohydrates get such a bad rap, man. Everybody thinks it's just the easiest way to burn body fat. But what people don't understand is that carbs are actually 1/3 water, and so this water is stored as glycogen in the muscle. This helps us out with energy. This helps us out with just a lot of different functions of the body and functions of the muscles as well. And so when guys cut out their carbohydrates, they lose that glycogen, they lose that water weight, and they instantly see the number on the scale go down. And all of a sudden they think that they're a registered dietitian. They think that they're a nutritionist, and they think that, hey, I don't need help at all. I got this, right? I just need to cut out carbs. But as you guys know, anybody can do anything when life is easy, but that's not the life that we live in. Typically there's some stress, there's some adversity. And at times, hey, myself included, we go to comfort food, right? And carbohydrates, at least for me, I like my sweets. I like my cakes. Most of you guys know I love my donuts as well. And what we're going to be kind of going over today is just having a healthier relationship with food. That way you're not worried about cutting out foods, whether it's, cutting out carbs, whether it's cutting out alcohol, anything like that. You guys can learn the proper mindset that we like to teach our members of Heartletics on nutrition and how it all applies into the body. Now, the best thing, in my opinion, that you guys should know right off the bat, and this is going to sound very familiar if anybody's, currently going through our coaching program right now, macronutrients. This is our second fat loss habit for success. Obviously, the first one is your calorie range, but macronutrients, that's your carbohydrates, your proteins, your fats, alcohol, even included into the mix. And so you can see here that for carbs, 1 gram of a carb is equal to 4 calories. For protein, 1 gram of a protein is equal to 4 calories. Now, 1 gram of fat is actually equal to 9 calories. And then obviously with alcohol, 1 gram is equal to 7 calories. So this all makes sense, because now if you ever go grocery shopping and you look on the back and you see the nutritional facts label, you can see in here that whatever you're about to purchase or, buy to consume, all these different, fats and carbs and proteins, they all equal up to this total calorie range. So it's very easy for somebody to understand a little bit more about what they're putting into their body and potentially how to change their body composition. Now, out of all these different macronutrients, they all play a vital role and different roles within the body, and especially how our body digests and breaks everything down. Coach Mark, why don't you tell everybody a little bit more about the thermic effect of food and about the just different principles?
Yeah, absolutely. The thermic effect of food basically boils down, if you make it easy, to the amount of energy that your body needs to actually digest and metabolize that particular nutrient. So if you look here, right, fats 0 to 5%, carbs 5 to 10%, and protein 20 to 30%. So basically, by sticking with higher protein, you are sticking with foods that actually make you work harder to digest, to metabolize, and that's going to help you as far as burning fat, Carbs is in the middle range, right? So you're getting energy from carbs and also, a little bit of a thermic effect. Fats are at the bottom. So that's why we typically say guys do best with high protein, mid carbs, and low fats. And that's really kind of the way we position things.
Yeah. And it's all about balance, you know. Typically the protein is roughly around that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's what we always recommend. Carbs, there's a lot of flexibility. When it comes down to fats, never go below, 20% of your daily calories, because fats are essential. Your body does need fats into the equation. And so when it comes to adding in the mix, it's good because now you have flexibility. Now you can also, game plan as far as if you're going out to eat, how to manage things differently, also to just incorporate it in to where it best makes sense. Now, let's go into the carbs, because at the end of the day, complex carbs versus simple carbs, there's a difference, and I don't like using the word bad carbs, because at the end of the day, if you were starving on an island and you haven't ate food in a day, or excuse me, food in like an entire 2-3 weeks, and there was a box of, donuts, hey, I bet you anything, there's probably going to be more nutrients in having some type of, food, even if it is sugar and all fats in those donuts, rather than not eating anything at all. So I don't like using the terminology, because I think that's bad for the mindset between what's good, what's bad. Instead, let's just better educate you guys. So there's complex carbs, there's simple carbs. Not saying one is better than the other, because when it comes down to, helping your body recover, especially after a hard workout, one of the best things that you can do is actually have some simple carbs right after a workout with some protein, right? Simple things like putting some honey into your protein shake to help spike your insulin is just going to help restore that glycogen stores even more efficiently. Now, when it comes down to complex carbs, typically these are your vegetables, your whole grains. Think in terms of what has more fiber. Now, this is great also because it's going to make you feel fuller longer. And obviously, that's ideal, especially if you're cutting down, you're going very low in calories, which I don't typically recommend for anybody. But if you are on a very low calorie diet, the most important thing that you can do is try to make yourself feel fuller longer. So that way you're not, sabotaging results and caving in, going back to your old ways. Now, on the flip side, when it comes down to fats, there's also, quote unquote, good fats and bad fats. But at the end of the day, it's all about mixing it in. So saturated fats, different things like, animal products like meats, dairy, eggs, also some plant-based sources. Then we have our trans fats. These are typically the ones where you guys see it's the, the donuts, the sugars, the fries, the cakes, different things like that. And remember, everything in moderation is key. And that's what we're going to be going over here at the end to help you guys with having a better mindset when it comes to nutrition. And then you have your unsaturated fats. These, in my opinion, and I firmly believe these are your healthiest of the healthiest options when it comes to your fats. So fun fact, and we did this when we talked about, Mike Berry, reversing his type 2 diabetes in 7 weeks and getting off his medications. We did a whole podcast talking specifically about that. And Mark and I addressed about carbohydrates, how they spike insulin, but also a good rule of thumb is just taking a look at the glycemic index. And hey, if there's some carbs on there that's higher numbers than, some other ones, but you want to eat those, fun foods, let's just call it at that, you can easily slow down the digestion rate by mixing in with the healthy fats. Some healthy fats are kind of like what you guys see here: avocados, olives, different kind of nuts, omega fatty 3 acids. These are definitely beneficial for the body, beneficial for also testosterone levels as well. But what I really want you guys to understand is that fats and carbs are just energy sources. So we get asked all the time from new members, as well as, people just thinking about getting signed up for Heartletics. It's like, hey, do I have to do low carb? Or, hey, what are your viewpoints on carbs? Or, hey, should I, avoid my carbs completely? And we always say this: don't worry about it at all. Why? Overanalysis paralysis. Think about it. There's 1,000,003 different diets out there, and there's a bazillion different programs that you can do, but they all kind of work as long as they work best for you and you can sustain that and keep with it long term. So what we honestly do here at Heartletics is just help guys understand KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So out of all the different, macronutrients that you guys saw up here and the different, thermic effect of food, the biggest thing that we make sure that you guys focus on is just having that protein. Don't worry about the carbs. Don't worry about the fats. They're just different energy sources, and they're all going to play a factor. This is a great little analogy that you guys can see from this image as far as just like fats being that type of slower digestion, where it's going to keep you fuller for longer, more satiated. And then carbohydrates, kind of like that kindle to the fire, use them as a great source. I use carbohydrates as, my source of recovery, but also at the same time, my source of strength. The carbs are going to store up as glycogen inside the body. I go against what everybody typically says not to do. Everybody says, hey, don't eat carbs past 8. I eat my carbs past 8. Plain and simple, because at the end of the day, I save all my carbohydrates before I go to sleep. Why? It helps me sleep better. Sleep helps out with testosterone levels. Sleep helps out with so many different aspects of energy. And in the mornings when I work out on an empty stomach, those carbs that I had the night before, it actually aids in me getting a stronger, more beneficial workout, more bang for my buck, so to speak. Now, let's go into what we really want you guys to understand. Putting the carbs aside, putting the fats aside, even putting the protein aside, let's talk about your relationship with food. Because in my opinion, this is what matters. I did a ketogenic diet for 6 months straight, and a true ketogenic diet where I was actually, tracking my blood ketones and peeing on the little ketone stick and making sure that I was actually in ketosis, tracking my macros, making sure I'm having 75% of my calories coming from fats, like a true ketogenic diet. And what a few things happened from it. One, yes, I did lose weight, but also two, it wasn't fun, like at all. I had to, get rid of my favorite foods. I had a horrible relationship with food, and trying to reincorporate those carbohydrates right back in, it was almost impossible. I had to literally retrain my body on how to process carbohydrates again for energy purposes. Mark, let's kind of tell them a little bit about, the 80-20 rule and what we go over here at Heartletics and why that's beneficial for not just the relationship that they have with food, but just their overall mindset to where it's more flexible for them and their overall lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we always pursue is sustainability. If you're not able to maintain this lifestyle, what's the point? And part of being able to maintain it is being able to enjoy things. So the 80-20 rule basically kind of says that if you are, eating properly, with your best nutrition 80% of the time, then 20% of the time you've got some room for some treats or goodies or however you want to refer to them. So if you're looking at, this image here, right, we're saying, 80%, healthy fats, good carbs, protein, and then 20%, treats, things that you enjoy, because if you can't enjoy life, what is the point of any of this? So, and that's going to keep you with a healthier relationship with food in general. The idea is not that, this food is bad and you should never eat it. It's to know the right, amounts of things, how to properly maintain your diet to reach your goals, but still allow in those enjoyable moments, so that life is not miserable.
Yeah.
And that's really the 80-20 rule.
Yeah. And Coach Jeremy, I know when you first got started off, this was something that you kind of struggled with, was the mindset and relationship with food and just like learning how to have balance and more structure to easily make it more flexible for you. I guess give us your 2 cents, man. What has been kind of beneficial for you and also for the members that's tuning in right now, but also the people that's going to be listening to this in the future, any new members or just people from the outside listening into the podcast. What would you like to kind of share as far as having that mindset shift to have more structured and balance when it comes down to nutrition?
When it comes to your nutrition, hit the numbers that are there. Of course, we're going to focus on our calories and protein first. And with me, the way I eat, for me, it was part of my mindset was the whole carb thing. You're supposed to cut out carbs. But I got past that and I started hitting those carbs. And then I started seeing better results. All those numbers, when we log our food, are there for a reason. And as we hit those numbers, the better the results are. And I can tell you now, even sometimes when I eat now, I don't quite hit my carbs every day. But the ones where I nail my carbs and my fats every day are the weeks that I have the best results. And make sure you load up on carbs before leg day, because Joe will punish you on leg day. So it's understanding there is no bad food. There are just bad portions. Okay. You can eat too much, but just eating the food you love in the right amount and hitting those carbs, hitting those numbers all the way across the board is the best way to get the best results you can get.
Absolutely. I always say it like this too, life's too short to give up your favorite foods. And also like I would feel really bad for anybody out there that says like, oh man, I can't have, cake and I can't have carbs and it's their kid's birthday and you have to avoid that. Like, hey, it's kind of like what Mark said, life's too short for all that. And at the end of the day, the reason why we're making today's, podcast is so one, you guys can be just educated. Here's some big takeaways. Let's just kind of recap things. First and foremost, hey, worry about your calories and worry about your protein. Don't worry about your carbs. Don't even worry about your fats. A lot of people also, once again, they cut out their carbs. They see the number on the scale going down because they don't understand that carbohydrates store water. And then when it comes down to carbs and set fats, right? Like, yeah, there's some good carbs. Yeah, there's some bad carbs in the equation, right? Complex versus simple, but they're just energy sources. That's it. And just like what Jeremy said is you can utilize these carbohydrates to better aid in actually getting better results, fueling yourself properly for a workout or any case in form of recovery. So it's all about balance at the end of the day. But honestly, me, Mark, all the other coaches, we tell you guys this all the time. We'll say it again. Don't worry about the carbs. Don't worry about the fats. Focus on your calorie range. Focus on your protein goal. And I promise you guys, you're going to speed up your metabolism, burn more body fat. So guys, that's it for today. This has been the Heartletics podcast. Just want to quickly kind of go over this. So hopefully it was informative for you guys. And as always, we'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Peace out, Girl Scouts.